Hey everybody, here are some samples for requirement 6 that you might consider carving. What I have in my hand is a neckerchief slide. It has a PVC ring glued to it, and this was a neckerchief slide from the National Jamboree that they handed out just the blank. It was a L-shaped piece of wood, and you could carve this from that. I thought it was kind of neat. I'd share. Here is another neckerchief slide from the summit when I went down for a special meeting, and I carved this one. Again, this is a kit. You can get these, or you can get a block of wood. You'd have to drill it for your neckerchief to go through, but you can see it's pretty much a rectangle, and you can make that, and you got the face and everything. Pretty cool. Also, the hourglass. I've had a few questions about this. This is known as a ball in the box or ball in the cage. Actually, you feed a BB to a small tree, and as it grows up, then these things happen. Just kidding. You actually have to remove the wood. If there are more questions about people that want to do this, this is a lot of fun. You have to open it up, and the biggest thing you have to make sure you don't do is make the ball that's inside there any smaller than any of the openings. That way it won't fall out. Here's one of my favorites. This is a shark. I toured the country in the music business back in the 80s, and we were in the islands in the South Pacific, and a lot of the islanders carved these awesomely organic shark carvings out of monkey pod wood. This is obviously carved out of pine, but you can see the organicness and the flowing of the tail and the body and the fins, and I always wanted to make one, and I finally broke down with a piece of square wood and carved this bad boy. So you might consider something like that as well. You have a busk that you could do, and I'm not quite sure that this is probably the greatest example, but you can see the shirt, the Scouts, world crest, all the emblems are in there. Again, this is a block of wood I got from AC Moore. You could get them from Michael's, Hobby Lobby, all of that. Here's one that a lot of people find interest in because, again, you have the ball in the box, but this is more of a cage. And yes, that is all hand carved inside there. Easier to do too because all the openings are smaller. You remove the wood and then you start angle cutting in to free the ball up. And then with this, it was a little bit harder because I had to stuff paper in to keep the ball from moving while I whittled it round. This also has, and this was all a solid block. This is not a dowel rod in there. I removed that so the snake could float around. The center rod, our OA totem, is the rattlesnake, henceforth the rattle on there. And then the bottom represents Mother Earth with the sedimentary rock and then some lava. And then I have my initials superimposed as part of it. So it was interesting. But, you know, these are just ideas that you can carve. Here's an end cut. Again, carving an end cut piece of wood is very tough, very hard to get in there, but a piece that I'm still working on. Again, our totem. Actually, I found this piece of wood hanging in the tree. This is for the OA. You have the rattlesnake spiraling around the arrow, which is what our totem is. Again, ball in the box. You'll notice that these openings are a lot larger, but the ball still doesn't fall out because I didn't cut the ball smaller than the openings. But I did want to cut the snake to wrap around the arrow and roll. The problem was, and you'll notice this crack, when the wood was drying, I found it up in a tree laying across branches, and it was dry, but it still, because of gravity, had a lot of moisture on this side of the board. So as I started removing the wood to expose the snake, it dried and this cracked. So I kind of stopped carving anymore because gluing it, and I just didn't want to glue it. I wanted it to be one solid piece. So just another example. But you have a lot of things. There's a bunch of fish I did. My daughter said, carve me some fish. Here is the very first OA totem that I did when I got tapped out. You have the Scout sign on the end, It was a small piece of wood, but the interesting thing about it is as I looked at this end, the knots from the branches coming out gave him a little beard. He had ears, a black dot I'd carved for his eye, and then he had the mouth and the smile, and it just worked out that way. And at any rate, these are just some of the things that I have. Show me what you got, and I look forward to seeing that by Friday. All right, here's some more examples of some neckerchief slides that I've carved over the years at camp and different functions. Lots of fun stuff. This is an end cut, by the way, this car. So that's the end grain and the rest. That's stained with tea from the dining hall. There's the eagle feather. That was always a fun project. I've carved tons of those over the years and given them out as gifts. Wood badge fox. Please.